Hello everyone, this is Ceyhun, co-founder at Text Cortex, and here is another co-founder, Dominik Lambersy. Text Cortex, yes. I'm having trouble saying my own company's name, but I'm getting better at it. I think I'm not
make
the
a
only one.
podcast out of the name of our company and the different ways people have called us already.
Text
Plenty of them.
Cortex,
Tech content,
Tech Content,
Text Cortex.
Text Cortex. Oh,
I think sometimes or at least my girlfriend tells me that I say that in our YouTube videos.
Text Cortex.
Yeah, but that's the harsh German. The harsh German pronunciation coming out basically.
Yeah, but I mean, we had like a lot of discussions with Dominik about changing the name. He was pro name change. I was no name change because of all the things that it can affect, because we need to change the name, on the web, you're known as Text Cortex. It's like a very, very long discussion. Anyways, but this is something in the making. Maybe one day, I don't know.
With the next round.
With the next round.
A marketing team.
Yeah, that would be good. I mean, at the moment, it's a little bit, complex, because what we are focusing on right now is just offering as much as value as we can to the users, and just like, don't look back. Just offer value as much as you can.
Maximize product depth and
Exactly.
maximize outreach with small team.
Exactly. That's what we are aiming for. But anyways, let's get into it's a very nice color, right?
Yeah, I'm very fascinated by it. Just changing the light all the time.
You know what? I was really looking forward to if I can edit the color, but unfortunately that's not possible.
Yeah, not inside of 30, what is it, 20, 30 euro
It
mic.
was but I don't want this video to turn into a video, microphone review on YouTube. But I have to say, I can totally recommend it.
Let ZenoChat write the review for your microphone, and then we
Absolutely.
just put it on the transponder. English. What's the word for it? The big thing I have for the YouTube videos.
It's a tripod.
No, what I have on top of the tripod.
Light.
Teleprompter.
Teleprompter.
Light as well.
Yeah, light as well. Yeah. You have so many setup, man. I don't know. Like, you go to the guy's house and it's like just like full of, I don't know. There's like some
Video
cameras. This is like there's video production equipment everywhere. But it's really cool. I mean, that's really made the difference. Like, the video qualities are so good. Just makes me want to watch. Although that I know what you are talking about every word by word. But it is very watchable, so it's a good thing. Anyway,
What is the topic of today? What are we talking
topic of today is Tenerife. It's an amazing island. You're just gonna, of course.
You didn't want to make a microphone review. Now we make a review about that.
I'm slowly getting there. But basically some news about the company. So as you can see, we are not in Berlin. As you can see, there's life here. There is like greenery, so things are aligned. Not like harsh winter conditions. So we took like a 1 week, like a company trip to come down here and work from here. That's
Just with the Berlin team so far.
at least for the Berlin
That
team.
was
Yeah,
the
that's
quickest one to get out. There still needs to be a company retreat with the whole global team,
true. Exactly.
which we're currently in the planning. And actually by tomorrow, I wanted to have something
Yes.
more planned
Let's
and more
do that.
dedicated for everyone to join as well.
So looking forward to it. Yeah, but when you're an international team, I think it gets like really hard to get everyone into one location, because there's like everyone is in a different place. But we're gonna make it happen.
Depends on how much funding you have as well.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
I mean, the guys from Airbank and Friday Finance, I think they
Yeah.
had also a global retreat in Barcelona so far.
Oh, nice.
And somewhere else. I think they even went
Yeah.
all the way once over to Brazil, because many of their people also
Are there in
Latin
Brazil?
America.
Yeah, that makes
Not only
sense.
Brazil, but also Argentina. And then basically, I mean, Brazil is
Wow.
also a nice destination to do a company retreat,
Yeah,
particularly in European winter times.
sounds like a great option. Yeah, the issue is actually we could have done it like much earlier. The company reads like global with the whole global team, but the issue is like we have a big team also in Ethiopia, and for them, unfortunately, it's really hard to get visa anywhere in the world. I mean, I'm Turkish. I also know the problems, because we also cannot get visa easily. So that was the reason it got pretty slow. But anyways. Enough about the discussion about where to do company reads. Today's topic is I would like to talk about a little bit first principles on the future of AI. As a team, I think everyone is very analytical inside of our team, and we all share the same vision when it comes to first principles. And I would like to get your opinion, Dominik, about how the AI look like in future? For example, now there's OpenAI. They are offering their API to do a lot of things. But of course, like, is it going to stay like this, a monopoly, or like how is it going to change in future? Like, how do you see the situation? Is it going to be a duopoly? What's going to happen?
What? A duopoly?
Duopoly.
What is the oligopoly? Is the word for multiple actors in one very small market.
No idea.
But in general, how will that world look like? I mean, you can already see enterprises moving away or asking basically, the enterprise customers who have now realized that there's something coming after many individuals have been using it for almost 2 years. That's, hey, it would be great to integrate that into our enterprise ecosystem as well. But certainly, I mean, one of my main concerns back then for GitHub Copilot was, for example, I mean, they sued them over the open source rights. My biggest concern was actually that they are recording a lot of the internal infrastructure of different companies.
Yeah.
I believe is, borderline espionage probably. So what will happen? As with many industries, even though OpenAI has a huge, what is it? What is the word for it? Advantage, or like quite forwarded. The costs of producing those foundational models, and also, I mean, the learnings are now rather public about how OpenAI has built those foundational models. And there was some scandals around it. What happened? The cost of the foundational models will drop. In general, how also hardware will become more accessible for the usage and for the optimization to run those models. So there will be interest by most geolocations, at least those who want to be in a superior position, most likely. I mean, you can talk about US, you can talk about Europe, you can talk about different Asian states, maybe even the Middle East, that there's interest to have companies inside their political sphere, which do the same or similar job, in particular also in their language. I mean, that's a big issue of the Bloom models, for example. I mean, there
was mostly French.
Not most, it was mostly English.
English.
French on top of it. Many Southeast Asian languages as well, but no German.
Yeah, that's so weird. I mean, you're doing Hugging Face European, and then like how can you just not put it there? It's kind of weird.
I mean, you could make the point that potentially, with the further development of AI, are we just harder converging on English as the main language of the world?
Yeah,
potentially say. But even though if you look at political movements at the moment, where something like the US dollar is challenged as global reserve currency, so to say. Also, will that be the case? I mean, currently certainly there's a network effect in languages as well. Most of the global population has learned English to optimize communication in between different nations. Will that change at one point? Will we adopt an AI language maybe?
Interesting.
I mean, AI models are already creating their own language to be, I mean, you look at the P-tuning stuff, for example. Google had shut down some AI models. I think that was like 2018 or something, when the model started talking its own very weird language to each other. Then you could say maybe at one point the human is learning language from the machine.
Could be. I mean, I think I can already see that the teachers are going to be one of the first professions to be disrupted with this tech, because it can become the perfect teacher, right? It doesn't have any problem with you that you're asking the same question 100 times and it will respond to you every time. I mean, regarding to how correct this responses are still something in discussion, because it can hallucinate, and I think OpenAI did some great work to make it less hallucinate and everything, but still there are a lot of things needs to be done there. But yeah, I mean, it can go into the new language, create its own language, and if this also start teaching humans, so maybe it can start teaching its own language, right? So it can say, okay, instead of English, now we're gonna use this and that token, and we're gonna teach you that. So it's an interesting idea. Yeah, I think so too.
That's the way how you bias people. I mean, also language models are biased by tokens. Exactly. Depending on what you feed, there's the research that people say ChatGPT is very more on the left political spectrum. In particular after, people really stress tested the whole system. And if you don't want it to be offending everybody, like the Microsoft chatbot in 2016
what
or
did
17.
it say?
I don't know.
That was going after everyone on Twitter, right?
In 5 minutes. That went down real quick.
Yeah,
then you certainly have different, and you could even make the argument just like Elon Musk now wants to build a truth GPT, I believe they called it. An unwoke, if you want to.
Yeah, you want to go for making it unwoke.
Exactly. But then also not only that different nationality, to come a little bit back to your original questions, how do enterprises think about it, or will there be competition to OpenAI? There will not only be geographical competition, but also according to belief system. I mean, language and belief systems are also somehow correlated. If you take it like this, I'm a huge believer that whatever culture we have mostly in us is highly dependent on language. I mean, I'm a completely different person in German than to English than to Spanish.
Yeah, definitely. That's so interesting. It's just like different areas of the neural network, I guess, working in your brain, right?
Not only this, but I mean, a strong comparison. In German, you have 1, 2 phrases where you could say I love you. In Spanish, it's 12 to 15, I believe.
Am I surprised? No, absolutely not.
After
German, ich liebe dich, and that's it. That's the only thing you're gonna get today, kind of.
Yeah, and I mean, just by think about it in terms of a data set. Yeah, you definitely have a bias on, or what was from my studies, the word for having, no. Yeah, you have a harder bias because you have more weight on how to say I love you in Spanish than in German, for example. So it makes the case that potentially Spanish is a more romanticizable language, if that's a word.
Yeah, it's just like, it's also like, I was thinking about it, okay, like with all this influence of the language and everything, when you think about it, if we roll out this massively to the humanity, what's going to happen? Because if these models have some kind of bias or like language bias or whatever in that, if it becomes like a teacher model, or like if it's used in schools and everything, it will also bias the people within there, right? It's like, it's actually a huge thing that might happen. Actually, it might not be a great thing to have, because when you think about it, we have different kind of teachers in a school, right? They are all doing different kind of, they all coming from different backgrounds, and they all different have different biases. But if you just like put one unified teacher that giving the same bias to everyone, it is actually really bad for the intellectual world, right? It's just gonna mass produce serial produce people out of this system.
Yes. Would there be something like democratic discourse then?
Exactly. How is going to happen? Because then if the AI says only this is true, that is going to be super weird, no?
I think in general it's already, I mean, where we are as society at the moment, it's very difficult to have a discourse with somebody without somebody feeling offended.
Yeah, just so many snowflake.
That not to label any people or something, but yeah, I mean, I really like your thought that if you just have one language model which has its own biases teaching, I mean, let's take a lesson out of history.
Yeah.
The winner writes what happened in history.
Yeah, exactly.
Usually not
that's like this, right? Exactly.
I mean, you can then also make the case of like, hey, if OpenAI develops that absolute dominant language model, they will be the winner, and they basically
will set
what happens.
Yeah.
How
they will set the narrative.
Exactly, they will set the narrative.
That is, I think it's like it's a very, very a big threat to a lot of countries. So I think in Europe we have to have this tech within ourselves to also control the narrative. I mean, not about just controlling the narrative, but at least like offering some like a better alternative to that. Because I think it's like it's not good. Like if you have this, if this narrative is just like dictated by one source, I think it's very dangerous. So we definitely need a European.
As with many things, competition is healthy.
Yeah.
So
for sure. Yeah, I think it's just going to be very interesting times. I mean, we are already living through that. We are already seeing with Text Cortex. When we started, we had a couple of users. Now it's thousands. And who knows where we're going to be next year when we are doing this podcast again. If we do that again. Let's see. This is like one of the experiments that we are running.
whether we finally managed to make it more regular. When was the last one?
I think 1 year ago or so. How long ago? I completely forget about
2021. So
wow, almost 2 years, huh?
1.5 years.
1.5 years.
So we just randomly sit in front of a camera and talked.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun actually. We should do that more often.
Absolutely. I mean, we need a proper office with a production center where we can also have my lights and my camera and stuff.
So looking forward to it, man. Yeah, the issue is like we are such a distributed international team, and we are also very, how to say, careful about how we spend money. We are just trying to squeeze every cent out of this that we have to create more value and not spend any money on things that are unuseful for that. And that's why we don't have an office actually, but because everyone's working from somewhere. I mean, we have an office, but it's more like a
ultimately we sit in the WeWork open co-working space. I mean, it's quite expensive for what it is. But I mean, also even the people who have, or the companies who have a set office, they prefer to work in that open space. So I think we've chosen a wise place there. And I mean, you shouldn't also underspend on employee happiness. But I mean, we already sit in a WeWork that's like top notch in terms of like what you can.
What else?
Like coffee, even drinks if you would like them. You can put your peach black tea into your sparkling water, which makes a great lemonade, by the way, or make yourself an iced.
That's what you are looking forward to. I know. Summer is coming, man. Slow. In 3 months, we're gonna be able to do it. Anyways, apart from our co-working space, I mean, generally, I think it's an amazing place to
work. We see subsidization.
Let's not get into that. I think that will be another conversation about a very deep conversation.
I think it could be a great move about why startups should aim for more capital efficiency. In particular, if you look at current markets, and how the last 10 years of just fundraising for the sake of growth are not applying it.
Yeah, that's insane. I don't think that's going to happen anymore, because that was the world with low interest rates, and that world is over, and you can see it from what happened with Silicon Valley Bank, right? So it just went down pretty hardcore because they didn't understand. Actually, it's like super interesting how badly it was managed. They've seen that the interest rates are changing, but they didn't do really anything to withstand that risk. Anyway, so that was the reason why it went down, and the world is going to be different because the cheap money days are over. People are not going to give you money if you don't have customers, if you're not making money. I mean, back in the days, 5 years ago or something, 5, 10, at least let's go 5 years back, people were able to, not even 5, I think go 3 years back. It's like you can just put some presentation whatsoever, have a landing page, nothing, no MVP, nothing, and then you can raise. I mean, when we raised, we had... this was an MVP, but it was a product and people were using it, right? And I cannot even believe that there was people giving money for that kind of thing, like giving money to a landing page. That should be insane.
I mean, I remember the times when I started at Speed Invest, that was when they made the Clubhouse deal. Remember, that's what is now basically Twitter Space, which was a feature exploration for big tech. I remember that deal. There was I think A16Z put 12 million into the seed round of Clubhouse. 10 million was into the company, and 2 million was straight secondary for the founder. So, the founder.
Nice. I mean, golden parachute, huh?
Yeah, kind of like. What are you doing then? What is your lifeline then? Also personally.
Yeah, that's also the wrong way of incentivization. I mean, we do this incentivization very carefully in the company, so. Everything should be gamified in the right way, right? If you give someone, or they think about it, if you get already, even if your company is not successful, you're not making great KPIs, you're not hitting your KPIs, you're not making money as a company. If you're already putting yourself a huge amount of salary, I mean, what else are you going to work for? That doesn't make sense at all. So you need to really set the goals right. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense. I mean, I think that days are over. It's not going to really happen that much. And we can see that.
At least for the foreseeable time. Let's see when that shifts again. I mean, there will be also low interest periods. again.
Yeah, it's like going up and down, right? So now we are at the we need to climb the mountain, so we can just like go down with raising with landing pages again. I hope it won't happen, but generally, when there's too much money, it's like cancer, it's just like starts growing some tumors here and there, and then when the money is over, then it's just like it's more seeable because like it's just like
the inefficiency bubbles basically explode.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's suddenly your little business, your low margin, quick delivery business, doesn't produce any value anymore because the cost of capital increased. That's nothing sustainable, nothing which would ever survive a financial crisis.
Yeah,
I mean, look at the last financial crisis, the big companies which were built in that time. And I think I speak for both of us that we are very happy to actually. I mean, I really love this quote from Ayrton Senna. When everything is sunshine in Formula One, Ayrton Senna was this super famous Formula One, exactly, Brazilian Formula One driver who died in action. But he said, like, when it's sunshine, it's very difficult to overtake people. But when it's raining, it's just about skill, basically.
Yeah,
and who can really manage difficult situations.
Yeah,
I think also, I just turned more and more Formula One fan. I think you can see a similar event currently happening with Alonso.
Yeah,
back in the days asked in Formula One, it would be great that everybody has the same machine. And Lewis Hamilton said like, no, I don't want that. Now Alonso has a much stronger machine.
Oh, really?
And suddenly he starts, the guy is, for a Formula One driver, he's on the end of his life cycle actually, but he's a very skilled driver and has a very, very distinct driving style as well.
Okay.
Similar is working for a company and for an organization.
Very similar.
In hard times, the one who can focus down on first principles.
Exactly.
To get down to the original topic of the podcast.
Yeah, we started with that, the first principles, and we ended up on formula.
Exactly. Nice. The first principle of a company is you take input, you produce output.
Exactly.
I also recently started adopting when talking to people, if our company doesn't need to pay value-added taxes on a sustainable way that our business can still survive, we do something wrong. And that needs to be value-add,
exactly.
Which also is taxed by every nation, more or less. But I think that's a very easy thing to understand also for the, how they would say in Germany, the Otto normal consumer.
Yeah, value is everything. I think that's what we did from the start. Always like, we didn't go to, startup fairs whatsoever and this fancy stuff, because that's not where our customers are. We just go to our customers, or we listen to the customers. We ask a lot of questions. I have no idea how many forms we have in different parts of the product. Like we are asking, it's like part of the product by now. And each of this is like directly coming into the team. Like each of these feedbacks are posted through like some cool systems that we set up. So if it's related to product, the product team sees it. If it's related to something else, then another team will see it. But the greatest and the most important thing is like, if you really, like Jeff Bezos says, if you really focus on the user, you're going to get really, really good outcomes. So that's what we're doing.
Observing customers from space now. To have them all, or basically 50% of them, directly viewable.
Yeah, he really cracked, like he was totally right about what he was saying. Anyway, so I think this is marking the end of this first stage of this podcast. Was really nice to host you.
Many different topics. We went around like microphone reviews, then Tenerife review.
Exactly.
We wanted to start with first principles. Then we had some.
But I think we ended at first principles.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
As they say it with art, it's nice to where you begin with. You did back again. Every good stand-up comedy show.
Yeah, but it's also like there's something from the Rick and Morty producer, or like Dan Harmon. So he was talking about how he's making these crazy stories, and he's also like making like a circle. You start here, and then you end up in the same place. So we are ending with the first principles then, ending this podcast. first principles, bring value to customers, and you're going to be successful. And that's what we believe and what we do every day at Text Cortex. Thank you very much for listening, and thank you for your insights, Dom. Hope to see you in 15 minutes because we are basically living in the same place here. Thank you very much for listening. I hope you liked it. Put your stuff, ideas, whatever, into the comments. We can have a look later, and we can actually a conversation from there.
Whatever topic we should talk about around the business.
Yes.
If we don't overshare, please let us know below. Because having a rough topic to just talk about that really helps us to
absolutely
bring your value.
Otherwise, we just babble around like
twink,
this.
Twink. Custom obsession, viewer obsession in that case. No?
That's user obsession too. Viewer obsession.
Obsession about the consumer.
All right. Good.
Let's go back to work.
Thank you very much.